Welcome to the Eternal format, the unofficial format where every set is legal, from the original base set to the most recent set, with a ban list to keep things balanced. Today's best of 3 match is a Slowking Box with Oranguru versus Mega Absol EX Handlock. To learn more about the Eternal format, check the links in the description. First, we're going to be looking at Mega Absol EX, which was built and played in this match by GetREKT. This deck revolves around Mega Absol EX's second attack, which costs 3 energy, 2 darkness and 1 colorless. That attack does 200 damage and it lets you look at your opponent's hand, choose 1 card you find there and discard it. The idea of this deck is to use that attack as early as turn 1 going second. So, to power up this attack, we need to use Counter Gain and Counter Energy. Counter Gain reduces the attack cost by 1 colorless, and Counter Energy provides 2 energy of any type, but both Counter Gain and Counter Energy only work if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent does. So, how do we make sure our opponent takes prizes on turn 1 going second? The idea is to use Regigigas Level X. Regigigas Level X has a Poké Power called Sacrifice, which allows you to knock out one of your own Pokemon. Most times it's going to be another copy of Mega Absol EX, so our opponent will go down to 3 prizes remaining even. However, it is not straightforward to level up Regigigas on turn 1. We need to use an item card, which is called Level Max. Level Max, if you flip heads, allows you to choose one of your Pokemon in play, search a deck for the corresponding Level X, and level up your Pokemon. So, the plan is to find the Regigigas Level X to put into play, sacrifice one of your own Mega Absol, then play a Roxanne, which is a supporter card that you can only play if your opponent has 3 prizes remaining or less. And the important bit is that it makes your opponent shuffle their hand into their deck and draw only 2 cards. One of them is going to be discarded by Absol's attack. The other one is going to be discarded by Umbreon Star, which has a Poké Power which simply discards a random card from your opponent's hand when you play Umbreon Star from your hand onto your bench. Last, one crucial bit of this deck is that you cannot obviously take your last prize with Mega Absol EX, since it relies on Counter Gain and Counter Energy. So instead, to take the last prize, this deck uses Bloodmon Ursaluna EX. Next, we're going to be looking at Slowking Box with Oranguru, which is a deck that I've shown on this channel 2 other times, although it was not this exact list. Slowking has the Seek Inspiration attack, which makes you discard the top card of your deck, and if it's a Pokemon without a rulebox, allows you to copy one of its attacks. We have several different ways to manipulate the top card of our deck, and one of the attackers that we can copy is the amazing rare Yveltal, whose attack just knocks out the opponent's active Pokemon. The reason why I chose to play this deck is because this match was actually supposed to be part of a tournament, which did not happen because not enough people showed up, unfortunately. And since this was the first tournament with Mega Evolutions legal, I was anticipating a lot of 3 prizers. So I did this sort of meta call by choosing to play a deck that could use Yveltal. So, starting with game 1, my opponent won the coin flip and chose to go second. They started with Absol, whereas I started with Yveltal, which is not really a Pokemon you want to have in play. On my first turn, I don't have that great of a opening hand. I do have a Quick Ball though, which I can use to grab Azelf. I then play Azelf, which has the Time Walk Poké Power, which makes it almost a staple of this format. It allows you, when you play Azelf onto your bench from your hand, to look at your first 10 prizes, choose a Pokemon you find there, and reveal it and put it into your hand, and then you replace it with another card from your hand. Crucially, Azelf does not tell you to shuffle your prize cards afterwards, so for the rest of this game, essentially, you will have full knowledge of which face-down card is which. So, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just gonna keep them face up here. So, with Azelf, I found a Slowpoke, which is obviously the basic for Slowking, which I then put onto my bench, and I attach an energy, and then my turn. So, now it's my opponent's turn, and their turbo machine of a deck can start. First, they play Battle VIP Pass, which is an item that can only be played on turn 1, and allows you to search a deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. With this, they grab 2 Unknown, and Unknown has an ability that allows you to discard it from your bench together with all attached cards, and to draw a card. So they draw 2 cards with 2 Unknowns. Then they find the energy to attach to Absol, and another VIP pass to get another Absol and the basic Regigigas. Then they play Level Max, with which they flip heads, so immediately they are able to put the Level X into play, which has the sacrifice Poké Power as discussed earlier. Immediately they use a sacrifice, which means they knock out their own benched Absol, and they get to take 3 prize cards. So yeah, I just choose the prize cards to take because I can remember what they are since I played Azelf. Then they play a Quick Ball to get yet another unknown from their deck. They play Rescue Carrier to get 2 unknowns back from their discard pile, so again they will be able to draw more cards. And even more cards because they also play Crobat V, which allows them to draw until they have 6 cards in their hand, so in this case 5 cards. They find Hisuian Heavy Ball, which is sort of the weaker cousin of Azelf. It makes you look at your face 10 prize cards. You can only find a basic Pokemon with it, not any Pokemon. And also you have to shuffle your prize cards after you substitute that Pokemon you took with the Hisuian Heavy Ball. So with it, they find the Squawkabilly X. They draw a card with Unknown, then they bench the Squawkabilly. With Quick Ball, they find another Absol just to thin the deck, pretty much. Then they play the Roxanne, which makes me shuffle my hand into my deck and draw 2 cards, whereas they draw 6. They find the counter gain to attach to Absol, and also the Forest Sealstone to attach to Crobat V. They draw more cards with Unknown. They find the Chinese Mail, with which they are only able to take another Roxanne. Then they use Star Alchemy, the ability printed on Forest Sealstone, which is a V-Star power that allows my opponent to get any card they want from the deck. So with that, they bench Umbreon Star, and they attack with Clord of Darkness, the second attack of Mega Absol. So what happens is that between Umbreon and Absol, both of the cards in my hand get discarded, and of course Yveltal takes enough damage to get knocked out. My opponent takes a prize card, and I promote Slowpoke. I draw for turn, and it's not a card I can play, so I just attack with Slowpoke's Fishing Tail, which tells you to search your discard pile for a basic Pokemon, an evolution card, or a basic energy card, and put it into my hand. I actually did a gameplay error here because I searched my deck instead and not my discard pile, because I was confusing this for another attack that is printed on another card, but of course it doesn't matter, I was lost anyway in this game. So yeah, my opponent can just grab another unknown with Hisuian Heavy Ball, and then attack. They chose to discard Minun, which of course is the only card in my hand that I would actually be able to play. And they knock out my active. I kind of luck out with my top deck because I draw Steven's Advice, which is a supporter that allows you to draw a number of cards up to the number of your opponent's Pokemon in play. So in this case, I can draw 6 cards. So with this, I find another Slowpoke to put onto my bench, as well as a Quick Ball to find yet another Slowpoke just for good measure, and then I end my turn. My opponent on their next turn uses again a Sacrifice, this time discarding Umbreon Star, so I take another prize. Then they attach Counter Gain just to thin their hand down, and put Latias CX onto their bench, which has an ability that gives all of their basic Pokemon no retreat cost. Then they play another Roxanne, so my stroke of luck with Steven's Advice gets neutralized. With the Rescue Carrier, they are able to get their Umbreon back, as well as another Unknown. They draw a card with Unknown, and then, once again, here comes the combo of Umbreon and Absol to rip my hand completely out, as well as knock out my active. So yeah, here I draw a basic Pokemon, which I could bench just to prolong this game, but I don't, so yeah, the rest of this game is just me getting attacked by Mega Absol until I have no more Pokemon in play. Moving on then to game 2, I chose to go first again. Once again, my opponent started with Absol in play, whereas I started with a basic Pokemon that I don't really want in play in this matchup, which in this case it's Manaphy, which is my bench barrier of choice for this deck. I draw for turn, and once again I start with Azelf. with which I get Minun, which I am able to put into play this game. Minun is particularly important in this matchup because it has a very, very useful Poké Power. It allows you, once during your turn, if any of your Pokémon were knocked out during the last turn of your opponent, it allows you to draw 2 cards, which is one fewer card than something like Oranguru GX or Fezantipiti X allows you, but it's on a single prizer that can also be searched with Buddy-Buddy Poffin. So that's why I run it. And crucially, it allows me to see a few more cards after my hand gets ripped out by my opponent's combo. So after this, I attach my Psychic Energy to Azelf just because it has an attack that can prevent retreats, so maybe I dream of some combo where I Guzma up something useless and then I lock it up with this attack, so they cannot retreat it even if they have Latia CX in play. And yeah, after this I just pass. So it's my opponent's turn, and once again they start getting their unknown with which they draw a card. Then with Rescue Stretcher they're able to get unknown back in order to draw another card. They find the Battle VIP Pass, with which they get another unknown as well as the basic Regigigas. Their first level max this time around flips tails, so Regigigas is still not leveled up. They draw another card with unknown, then with Rescue Carrier they get the unknown back. Another card drawn. Battle VIP Pass gets 2 more unknown in play. So yeah, another few cards drawn. Level max number 2, this time it's heads, so Sacrifice is now online. With Quick Ball they get Acrobat, with which they can draw a few more cards. Before playing the Acrobat they attach the Forest Seal Stone to unknown just to thin it out of the hand. Another card drawn with unknown, and then after another Absol is put in play, it is sacrificed with Regigigas Poké Power, so I get to choose my 3 prize cards. And once again I'll point out an important card in this matchup, which is Gift Energy, which provides 1 colorless, and if the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage, I get to draw cards until I have 7 in my hand. So again, a great countermeasure against hand rip. With Trainers Mail they find an Ultra Ball, another Trainers Mail finds Roxanne. Then they play Luxury Ball, which is another staple of this format. It allows you to search your deck for any Pokemon except Pokemon level X, with the catch that you cannot play it if you have another Luxury Ball already in your discard pile. It is basically a Master Ball which does not take the Aspect slot, so that's why every deck runs it as a one-of. Here, of course, my opponent's deck is one of the few that actually runs Pokemon level X, but still it's a great card. With the Luxury Ball, they find the Squawkabilly X. Then they play Dowsing Machine, which is their aspect of choice, which allows you to discard 2 cards from your hand, and then recover a trainer card from your discard pile into your hand. And the chosen card to recover is a Rescue Carrier, so once again they get 2 more unknown. Then the Roxanne gets played, so my hand goes down to 2, whereas my opponent can draw 6 cards. Then they draw 1 more with unknown. They now have everything, every piece of the combo online. So yeah, they use the Poké Power and attack, getting the knockout and my hand to 0. So here I promote Azelf to protect my most important card, Minun. I draw for turn, and then with Minun I get to draw 2 more cards. One of them is a Faba, which is a supporter that allows you to choose a Pokemon Tool or Special Energy card that my opponent has in play, or a Stadium in play, and put it into the Lost Zone. So I choose to target my opponent's energy. And then I attack with Lockup. Then on my opponent's turn they have no problem because they already have an energy in hand, so they attack, knocking out my active and discarding the Quick Ball, since I cannot actually play my Double Rainbow Energy here, since it can only be attached to evolved Pokemon, which I do not have. Here again I get a lucky draw because of Lapras. Lapras has a Poké Power which allows you to search your deck for any supporter card and put it into your hand when you play Lapras from your hand. So with that I get a Guzma, which I play to get my Lapras into the active spot and crucially my Minun out of it. And with that I cast Regigigas level X, with the idea that if they have to use Sacrifice to get something out of the active spot, then they will not have access to Sacrifice for the rest of the game, most likely. Then with Minun I draw 2 cards. One of them is a Quick Ball, which I choose to play instead of just letting my opponent remove it. And with that I grab a Slowpoke, and then with Luxury Ball I grab Oranguru, which will allow me to see one more card in my next turns. Oranguru is included because Primate Wisdom makes you switch one card from your hand with the top card of your deck, which is here primarily to manipulate the top deck for Slowking's attack, but it also is useful to dig a little bit deeper. And then I pass. With Hisuian Heavy Ball, my opponent finds Latias, and then they play another Hisuian Heavy Ball, finding nothing. With Unknown, they draw a card. With Trainer's Mail, they find Rescue Stretcher. They do choose to use Sacrifice to get Regigigas out of the active spot, even though they could have just retreated it with Latias if they wanted. So yeah, I took a prize card. I chose the most useless prize card I have, since it's gonna get ripped anyway. With the Rescue Stretcher, they get both the basic and the level X Regigigas, as well as an Unknown, shuffled back into the deck. Then with Ultra Ball, they get the basic Regigigas back into play. And then with Level Max, they flip heads, so yeah, the level X is back online as soon as possible. Then they attack, knocking out my Lapras and discarding the TM Devolution from my hand. Draw for turn, I draw Yveltal, which I'm happy to see, and I'm even happier to see with Minun Oracle, which is a supporter that has basically the same effect as Mallow and Cyphermaniac's Code Breaking, so it lets me stack 2 cards on top of my deck. So after benching Baltoy, I stack Gift Energy on top of my deck and Buddy-Buddy Poffin right under it. And then with Oranguru, I get to safeguard my Yveltal on top of my deck and get the crucial Gift Energy, which I attach to my active, and then attack with the Iono attack, which puts Mega Absol EX to sleep. Here in this match, we use the poison marker to indicate sleep, so just be aware of that. My opponent then draws for turn and can do nothing because of sleep, so they pass. And they flip tails again, so Absol stays asleep. I cannot use Minun because none of my Pokemon were knocked out, so I just use Oranguru, getting the Poffin that I stacked there. And with that, I get another Slowpoke as well as Ditto Prism Star, which is able to evolve into any Stage 1 Pokemon. And then again, I attack with Iono, but this time the opponent flips heads, so Absol is no longer asleep, and they attack knocking out my Slowpoke. This triggers Gift Energy, so I get to draw a whole hand of 7 cards. I promote my other Slowpoke, draw for turn, and I'm now able to evolve Slowpoke into Slowking and to attach the Double Rainbow Energy to it, which provides 2 energy of any type, with the caveat that it also reduces by 10 all damage done by attacks. I then play Quick Ball, discarding a Dimension Valley to get Yveltal. I then stack Yveltal on top of my deck with Oranguru, and then attack, discarding Yveltal from the top of my deck, copying its attack, which just knocks out Mega Absol EX, which allows me to take my last prizes, thus giving me game 2. Moving on to game 3, my opponent chose again to go second, so I will again go first. This time around they started with Regigigas, whereas I started with Baltoy. And I have Oranguru in hand naturally, so I bench it immediately. And then I use my Ball Search to get Minun, which is the other really important player, as well as Azelf, which is very useful because having knowledge of where your prizes are is very important against something like Sacrifice. So yeah, I now have full knowledge of where my prizes are exactly. And with this, I pass my turn. First thing my opponent does is play a Training Smell, with which they find a level max. Then with Unknown they draw a card. With Quick Ball they discard Umbreon Star, with which they get not Regigigas, they made a mistake, but Absol. Then they play level max, flipping heads and leveling up Regigigas level X. Then with Rescue Stretcher they can get Unknown back, and they play Crobat B, drawing 4 cards. They find the energy, they find another Absol. With VIP they can get more draws with Unknown. They find the counter gain. VIP gets another Regigigas and Unknown. They play another level max, but this time they flip tails, so this Regigigas stays not leveled up. They find yet another level max with China Smell, and this time again they flip tails. Then they bench Squawkabilly X using its ability, which can only be used on the first turn and allows you to discard your hand and draw 6. So that's what they do. Then with the Sacrifice, they knock out their active Regigigas level X. So I can draw a prize card, although I again choose a card that I do not need since it's gonna get discarded. Then they attack, discarding my Manaphy and knocking out my Baltoy. So here I draw for turn, then see 2 more cards with Minun, bench a Slowpoke, and see yet another card with Oranguru. And Oranguru has found once again Steven's advice. So I play Canceling Cologne just to thin it out, it's not useful that much in this matchup. And then I play Steven's advice, with which I can draw 5 cards. I find Slowking, I find a double Rainbow Energy to attach to Slowking. However, I am out of ways to manipulate the top card of my deck, since I already used Oranguru's ability this turn. So I just hope for the best and attack with Seek Inspiration. And the top card of my deck is actually a Pokemon without a rulebox. In this case it's Slowpoke, but its only attack is Iono, so all I managed to do is put Absol to sleep, and to make matters worse, it wakes up immediately. So then my opponent manages to power up another Absol in the background. With Ultra Ball they find another Crobat, which they will be able to use to draw more cards. They used Forest Sealstone's ability to get a card from their hand. In this case it's Hisuian Heavy Ball to find Latia CX. They retrieve their active to get Regigigas into the active spot, and then they level it up. If you're not familiar with level X, you can only level up normally your active Pokemon, so that's why they had to do this. Then once again Regigigas sacrifices itself, so I get another prize card. And then they attack, and they take a second to choose which card to discard from my hand, and in the end I choose to discard Guzma Hala. If I were to guess, it's mostly to play around the gift energy. So yeah, my active Pokemon is knocked out, and I promote Azelf. I draw for turn, I draw 2 cards with Minun, and then I keep my Yveltal, which is important, in my deck where it cannot be ripped out. And Oranguru finds the gift energy my opponent was trying to avoid. I attach it to Slowpoke because it can help power up an attack if I manage to evolve it. And yeah, I also play Buddy-Buddy Poffin to get another Slowpoke as well as Ditto Prism Star. I play the Faba because I will not be able to play any other supporter this turn, so with this I target the active's energy. Then with Prime Catcher I choose to cast a useless Pokemon, in this case Squawkabilly X, just to stall, and then I attack with Iono, putting it to sleep. My opponent draws for turn, and they are not able to retreat Squawkabilly, even though they have Latias because of sleep. With Rescue Stretcher they find Regigigas, the basic one, which gets put into play. Then they pass, and Squawkabilly wakes up. I draw for turn. I cannot use Minun, so I use just Oranguru to dig into my deck. I chose to attach my energy to the bench Slowpoke, which ideally will not get knocked out before being able to attack. I also play Dimension Valley, which reduces by 1 color less the attacks of Psychic Pokemon. So in particular, I will be able, assuming that stays in play, to use Seek Inspiration with just the 1 Psychic Energy that I attached. Then I attack again with Iono, but this time Squawkabilly does not stay asleep. So they will be able to retreat it, but they chose not to, actually. They instead attach to Squawkabilly and attack with Motivate, which does 20 damage. And the reason why is because they do not want to trigger the gift energy. So here I draw for turn, I stack my Kyurem on top of my deck, although the card that was already on top of my deck was another Kyurem, so the composition of my hand does not actually change. And then I attack again with Yon, and this time again Squawkabilly stays asleep. My opponent just passes and Squawkabilly is still asleep. This time around I do find the Slowking with Oranguru, and I choose to evolve my benched Slowpoke, so this Slowking will be able to attack as soon as it gets into the active spot, assuming Dimension Valley stays in play. Then I attack, which does actually nothing because Squawka was already asleep and it stays asleep. My opponent passes and again Squawkabilly stays asleep. With Oranguru I find another Oranguru which I cannot play because my bench is full. And then again I uselessly attack with Yon. My opponent again passes. Amazingly Squawkabilly is still asleep. With Oranguru I find Floatstone, and I have put Kyurem on top of my deck. So I'm able to attach Floatstone to Slowpoke in order to give it free retreat, and then retreat it to get Slowking into my active spot, and I attack, and I choose to do 110 damage to the 3 Pokemon that are worth 2 prize cards. And I chose to do this because right now I do not need to knock out a 3 prizer in order to win. I need to take 4 prizes, and one way I can achieve this is if I manage to get another attack with Kyurem, knocking out 2 of these 3 Pokemon. Then my opponent draws for turn. Squawkabilly is still asleep, by the way. With Rescue Stretcher, they find Regigigas level X, 2 of them actually, as well as Umbreon Star, which they chose to shuffle back into the deck. Not Umbreon Star actually, they changed their mind, it's an unknown. Then they play Dowsing Machine in order to get back a level max, which flips heads, so sacrifice is back online. And they resort to sacrifice in order to get Squawkabilly finally out of the active spot, so now I get to draw, to take 2 prize cards, and I take another Slowking as well as Yveltal. Then they attach another energy to their Absol, which was hit by Faba earlier in the game. With Rescue Carrier, they find 2 unknown, with which they can draw a few more cards. With Quick Ball, yet another unknown. They play Luxury Ball, just failing the search, so finding nothing. Crobat V then is able to draw 5 more cards. They fail an Ultra Ball, and then play Roxanne to get my hand down to just 2 cards. Then they retreat Latias thanks to its own ability, and attack, choosing to discard the Claydol and knocking out my active Slowking. I promote Slowpoke because it has free retreat thanks to Floatstone. With Minun, I draw a couple more cards, and notably, I have drawn a Versus Seeker, which will allow me to draw yet more cards thanks to Steven's advice. Before I play the Versus Seeker, actually, I chose to play the Luxury Ball, just getting a Claydol to evolve Ditto Prism Star. Claydol, which is another staple of this format, it has a Poké Power which is arguably the best draw engine in the game. It allows you to choose up to 2 cards from your hand and put them at the bottom of your deck in any way you like, and then draw until you have 6 in your hand. Then I evolve my active into Slowking, and now I play Steven's advice. I get an energy to attach to Slowking, which is now ready to attack with Seek Inspiration. And then I can manipulate my top deck with Max Revive. So with that I put a Kyurem on top of my deck, and then I just end the game by attacking, copying Kyurem's attack and doing 110 damage to either one of these 2 prizers. So, despite my opponent managing to win game 1 very convincingly, I did end up winning this match. The main reason why is that after game 1 I figured out my opponent's strategy, and I was able to play around it mainly with Minun, but also with Oranguru, and since I got lucky, also Gift Energy. My opponent recognized that maybe, especially in the last game, they were trying too hard to play around the Gift Energy, And other than that, they also noticed that a Gust option in this deck, which is currently absent, is definitely needed to take out threats like Minun was in this match. Most likely they will include a PAL hand extension in the deck, which is basically a better version of a counter catcher if you're familiar with that card. PAL hand extension can only be played when you have more prize cards left than your opponent does, and you can either choose to Gust one of your opponent's Pokemon or to move an energy from your opponent's active to one of the bench Pokemon of your opponent. So yeah, my opinion on this deck is that it's really, really strong, and especially if you don't know you're playing against it, you are pretty much every time going to lose against it. And this is especially true in a best of one format where you cannot figure out the strategy game 1 and then bring it back games 2 and 3. So yeah, very strong deck, a very cool idea also by my opponent, who has had several cool ideas over the couple of years that I've played. And yeah, that's it. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions about the game or the lists, feel free to comment below. Thanks again to GetREKT for playing this match, and I'll see you next time.